And welcome to Talking Smarks here on AIM Student Radio, the way radio should be. I'm Josh, and we're going to go ahead and get right into it. One of the last episodes I made, I was talking about the Vince McMahon scandal and everything going on with WWE at the moment. So far, there have not been any further developments on this, which is good, because honestly, last episode I kind of threw my voice out going into detail about that. But this episode is going to be a little bit different. In today's episode, I'm not going to be talking about WWE or even AEW. Shocker, I know. There is an event coming up within a couple of weeks, which is taking place during SummerSlam weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee is set to become the wrestling mecca of the world just for that weekend, because not only do we have SummerSlam, obviously WWE is going to be getting most of the buzz out there. They're going to be doing the event out at the Nissan Stadium, home of the Tennessee Titans. We also have Starcast going on, which is just this huge wrestling convention. And not only is it just like meet and greets with wrestlers, not just from WWE, but you also see people from AEW, New Japan, Impact, Ring of Honor, but you also get other shows that happen here as well. I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe GCW is also doing a show out there during the weekend. And also the main Starcast also has a lot of live podcast recordings that go on during this show, and it's actually pretty cool. I know the Sessions with Renee Paquette is also going to be doing out there doing a podcast, which should be pretty awesome. Hey, who knows if this show ever gets if this show makes it big, heck, I'd love to do a Starcast event, do an interview with anybody out there at the site of just one of these big pay-per-views. They're a fun time, honestly. If I had the money, I'd be there. But that's not the point. The culmination of the Starcast, this is the 5th event, so Starcast 5, is going to be a pay-per-view, and not just any pay-per-view. Appropriately named Ric Flair's Last Match. Now, keep in mind, perhaps there maybe should be a little bit of an asterisk here, because this isn't the first time we've had a last match for Ric Flair. Obviously, the most famous one was in 2008 at WrestleMania 24, taking on Shawn Michaels in the career-threatening match where if Ric lost, he would have to retire. He did lose the match, and we all thought this was going to be the final send-off of Ric Flair. I remember actually watching this Mania live. It was a tremendous match. Honestly, still one of my absolute favorites to this day. Still just that iconic shot of Ric Flair just basically begging Shawn to, pull the trigger, finish the job. Shawn Michaels stands in the corner of the ring, absolutely brokenhearted, and just mouths, "I'm sorry, I love you," before delivering that final sweet chin music for the 1, 2, 3. Still, honestly, quite a send-off. It was later revealed a couple years later, Ric Flair did end up returning to the ring, did a couple of matches with Hulk Hogan because they were doing this joint independent tour together. And then Ric Flair did also do a couple of matches for Impact back when it was formerly known as TNA Wrestling. It was later on revealed that he only came back because he was in some significant debt at that time. But here we are. That was 2008, going to 2010 that we had this string of Ric Flair matches. We are in 2022. Ric Flair is 73 years old. And as promised, he is going to step down. He's going to walk down that aisle one last time. As excited as I am for this event, Rick appears to have gotten himself in a great shape. He's been training, and his training partner, we'll get into that. Keep in mind, this man has had quite the share of health problems the last few years. I'm genuinely concerned for his safety, as much as I know he wants to go out on his own terms and provide a great match. Rick, I'm just begging you, please be careful. Hopefully, with the way that this match was set up, it'll help protect Rick and help keep him safe so he can finish this last match and live to see another day. But I'm going to go ahead and actually break down the card here for you, because this card is actually quite the cornucopia of talent. We have talent from AEW, New Japan, Impact, even a name from WWE, and I'll explain that here in a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and start breaking down the card here. We have the Bunkhouse Battle Royale as of the time of this recording. The only confirmed name is Bully Ray. Was from Impact, was from WWE. We have Clark Connors versus Ren Narita in a singles match, so we have some New Japan talent going on there. We have Killer Cross with Scarlett Bordeaux, formerly Impact and WWE, versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. in a singles match. That should be a good one. The Von Erichs, keep in mind, a legendary tag team of the 80s. Read into that family. They've got interesting, but also kind of a dark times in that family, taking on the Briscoes in a tag team match. So we are obviously highlighting some of the past history, some of the tag teams and times of Ric Flair's career. Keep in mind that this event is actually being promoted by Jim Crockett Promotions. This promotion has been long dead. It later on was sold to become WCW. The name was revived for basically a one night only. It's going to be in the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, the site of one of Ric Flair's famous matches with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I honestly can't wait. It's going to be glorious. I mean, this isn't WWE Ric Flair. This is 80s, early 90s territory Ric Flair. Even the robe is a reproduction of one of his original robes. The way that they're promoting it, the way that they're setting up the matches, it's honestly a very, very good throwback way that they're doing it. I honestly love it. It's definitely seems more like Rick is going to go and finish his career out on his own terms. The limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun is going to do it one last time. I'm going to keep breaking down this card. We also have the Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards versus the Motor City Machine Guns in a tag team match. Here we got some Impact Wrestling representation. This one's going to be good. This one certainly ties into Ric Flair's career. We have the Rock and Roll Express, which is the team in this iteration of Ricky Morton and Kerry Morton, with Robert Gibson taking on this new incarnation of the Four Horsemen. I should say new, but old. Here we have Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson, with Arn Anderson coming ringside as their manager. The Rock and Roll Express, legendary tag team of the 80s. So were the Four Horsemen. Keep in mind, Brian Pillman Jr., the son of the legendary and part of the Four Horsemen, Brian Pillman, the loose cannon. Brock Anderson, obviously the son of Arn Anderson, also a legendary member of the Four Horsemen. And Arn's going to be out there too. Keep in mind, during the Starcast event, we are supposed to get what they call the last ride of the Horsemen, which is where we're going to have all the Horsemen members on that are still with us on stage, supposedly for the last time. It's going to be great. So that is definitely a throwback and, obviously an homage to Ric Flair's career, his past battles. These were legendary battles that the Horsemen had with the Rock and Roll Express. It's going to be great. Also, we have Rey Fénix versus Taurus versus Laredo Kid versus Bandido in a four-way match. All the lucha libre. Give me all the flips. Give me all the kicks. Give me all the twists. Such wow. I can't wait. We also have, and keep in mind, Rey Fénix signed to AEW and AAA. Taurus, Laredo Kid, Bandido. You got a lot of AAA, GCW representation. More Impact representation. Here we have Jordynne Grace, who's currently walking into this event as the champion, versus Deonna Purrazzo versus Rachel Ellering in a three-way match for the Impact Knockouts World Championship. So we're going to get some great, not just great male wrestling on the show, but great women's wrestling on this show as well. Deonna Purrazzo is the virtuosa. Rachel Ellering, obviously great in the ring as well. Jordynne Grace, I am pretty sure she can pick me up like nothing and throw me from one side of Beatty to the other. Very strong woman. This is going to be a great match. Can't wait. We also have Josh Alexander versus Jacob Fatu. Singles match for the Impact World Championship. There's a lot of Impact on this show. That's actually a good thing. The primary places where Rick spent the later part of his career were WWE and Impact, so this makes sense. And finally, the main event. Ric Flair's final match. It is going to be a tag team match. Ric Flair and Andrade El Idolo. Keep in mind, there's history here. Andrade El Idolo is married to his daughter Charlotte, who is in WWE. So Rick gets to team up with his son-in-law, who is also a very good wrestler, mind you, to take on the team of Jeff Jarrett, JEFFJARRETT, and Jay Lethal. So here's where it ties in with the training. Ric Flair had been posting videos on his social media of him training with Jay Lethal. And Rick looks like he hasn't lost a step, folks. Jay Lethal also had one of the greatest moments in Impact history with Ric Flair. The famous woo off where Jay Lethal came out and did a picture-perfect impression of Ric Flair to Rick's face and got away with it. It is a glorious moment. So there's been history here for years. And we're going to see them tangle off. The way that they introduced this match and they got it set up was it is very old school, very Flair. The last few days, there has been this docuseries airing online. It's called Rick's Last Match. They're setting it up kind of like the Last Dance series that we got with Michael Jordan a couple years ago. You know, obviously retrospective on Rick's career, you know, why he's doing this. But they also set up the match. So the video opens up with Ric Flair and David Crockett leaving whatever warehouse building that they're in. And keep in mind, for the last few weeks, it seems like there was some heat between Ric Flair and Jay Lethal because up until this point, Jay Lethal wasn't even on the card for this event. You know, this man that's been working with him the last few months, helping to train him, get him back into ring shape, obviously had his famous moments with. Jay Lethal comes out and he's like, yo, what's going on? You know, words are exchanged. Rick, you know, tries to pull the cocky Rick. Rick's like, don't even do that. Jay attacks Rick, hits him in his surgically repaired stomach, starts beating him down. Jeff Jarrett shows up. At first, we think, oh, he's there to, you know, make the save, help Flair, you know, ward off Jay. And it seems like this is what's going on. And it seems like that's the plan. Ric Flair then brushes off Jeff Jarrett, tells him to get away from him, exchanges some words, some profanities as well in there. They were all censored on the clip that I found, but I'm pretty sure the uncensored clip is out there somewhere. Jeff Jarrett then proceeds to start beating the daylights out of Ric Flair. Even has his wife Karen give him her shoe and starts walloping Rick with it. Rick gets busted open, starts bleeding. Keep in mind, a lot of them are wearing white clothing, so the blood really stands out here. Karen Jarrett also wearing a white dress. The blood's getting everywhere. Rick with his, you know, platinum white hair. The blood just stands out. This is classic Ric Flair. It wouldn't be a Ric Flair match without blood, honestly. But they set this up like a blood feud. You know, this very old school 80s NWA, just like that there's this vitriol, this hatred that they have. And it was announced that this was going to be the final match of Ric Flair's career. He announces that he's teaming up with Andrade. This is tremendous. Honestly, I do like that they are hearkening back to this old school 80s blood feud, you know, this very vicious kind of feud. Now, keep in mind, I loved what they did at WrestleMania 24 for Rick's send-off. I mean, he had the robe that's probably worth more than what I'm going to make in my entire life. He had an insane amount of fireworks, the crazy entrance, the lights, the pageantry, all the pomp and circumstance worthy of Ric Flair. But this feels more, like I said, like a throwback to 80s Ric Flair. Keep in mind, the dirtiest player in the game. I really can't wait for this event. Obviously, SummerSlam is in there too. That's going to be a huge match. A shout out to my boy, Pat McAfee. Go ahead and beat the daylights out of Bum. I'm not going to say the rest of it. Corbin. And that's my spiel on SummerSlam. And I'll say it again. As excited as I am for this event, I mean, that's a great card. That is a stacked card. I'm also, like I said, I'm worried for Rick's health. You know, I really do hope that not only that Rick, paces himself, keeps himself safe, also his opponents in the ring help keep him safe. Like, spare no expense on this, please. Get the crack team of EMTs, like the best EMTs you can get in Nashville that night. Have them at that arena and have them ready to go in a split second should anything go awry. And we'll see how this event goes. I will be discussing it more and more as it goes on. And I will also obviously continue to bring you coverage of AEW as well as whatever WWE news happens to cross by my computer screen when I'm getting these shows together. And that's it for today's episode. Feel free to follow us online on Twitter and Instagram at Talking Smarks. You can follow me on Twitter at Wolfie Molina. We post daily, we tweet daily, we live tweet during AEW Dynamite, AEW Rampage, the AEW pay-per-views. More than likely, if for some reason I can't order Ric Flair's last match, I'll more than likely be still recapping it in a future episode. That is it for us here at Talking Smarks here today. I'm Josh. I thank you all for listening, and you have a great rest of your day.